Alright, how's it going? So we got a good fight coming up. Anthony Joshua against Daniel Dubois. This one I'm really looking forward to, you know. Both guys are big punchers. Both guys are top heavyweights. I would say that Daniel Dubois has just recently become, you know, a contender at heavyweight. For a while there, it was looking like he was a bit of a hype job after he got stopped by Joyce, and then he got knocked down in another fight by a guy that was just coming up from cruiserweight, you know, a no-hoper, a no-name, and then he got stopped by Usyk. But recently, his last two fights, he's done very well. You know, he's got a good win over Jarrell Miller, where he stopped Miller. Okay, nobody stopped Miller before. Miller is a big guy, a strong fighter. I mean, just look at his recent fight, right? Miller arguably was robbed against Andy Ruiz. So that's a good win. And then, of course, his most recent win was over Hrgović, right? Undefeated, you know, good fighter. I believe maybe Jarrell Miller was undefeated as well. Not that Miller had fought anybody of note, really, but I'm pretty sure he was undefeated as well. But Hrgović is definitely the better win, you know, the bigger win. Hrgović has a win over Zhang, okay, Big Bang Zhang. And Hrgović, you know, has been touted for quite a while to be the next big thing at heavyweight. Well, Dubois put a stop to that. So Dubois, he's on a roll, you know, he's on a good roll at the moment. He's got 2 good wins, and even the fight before that against Usyk, he put in a pretty decent performance. I'm not one of the crowd that think he should have won that fight. It was a low shot that he caught Usyk with, in my opinion. I know some people think he should have won that fight, and he believes he should have won that fight as well. He should have got the stoppage. So maybe he got his confidence from that fight, you know, believing that he should have actually got the stoppage win over Usyk. He carried that confidence forward against Miller. He outlasted Miller, which is a hard thing to do. You know, Miller's got a big gas tank on him. He's a strong guy. So for Dubois to you know, outlast him, outfight him, he showed that he's got a stronger will right now. You know, he's not going to be beaten so easily. Not that he's been beaten easily, but he did sort of quit against Usyk. Again, you know, you could say that's a bit harsh, because he was exhausted, and Usyk does that to guys. You know, Usyk almost stopped Fury. Usyk almost stopped Joshua in their first fight. So Usyk, you know, he gets stronger as the fight goes on, and Dubois just he couldn't keep up with him in the later rounds. So yeah, he quit through exhaustion in that fight against Usyk. And against Joe Joyce, again, some people say he quit, but he suffered an eye injury. You know, you can't really call a guy a quitter when they've got an eye injury, you know, unless you've been through that injury, you know what it's like. I mean, just imagine it, being in a fight and having an eye injury. You know, you've got to be either extremely brave or extremely stupid to stay in the ring with an eye injury. So I don't take that as Dubois quit against Joyce. I understand he had an eye injury. It was late on in that fight. Also, that was a prime Joyce. You know, that wasn't the Joyce we see today that lost to Chisora. It's not that Joyce. Years ago, Joyce was in his prime. It was probably his best ever performance, that fight against Dubois. So yeah, but just on those two losses that Dubois has had, neither fight was he knocked out clean. You know, neither fight was his chin broken. So I see some comments from people saying, hey, if AJ hits Dubois with a right hand, it's over. You know, if AJ hits Dubois like Hrgovic hit him, it's over. I don't necessarily agree with that, because we've never seen Dubois knocked out. Okay, we've seen him knocked down, we've seen him stopped. In his two losses he has been stopped, but he hasn't been stopped by getting knocked out. You know, his chin hasn't gone. And in fact, I'd say that Dubois has a good chin, especially when you consider he was hit a lot in his last fight against Hrgovic, and Hrgovic can crack. Hrgovic has a strong right hand. He caught Dubois with some clean right hands, and Dubois walked through those punches. So Dubois definitely has a chin. You know, I'd like to know how Joshua would react to those right hands from Hrgovic, because in my opinion he wouldn't take those right hands as good as Dubois took them. You know, Hrgovic can hit hard, Jarrell Miller can hit hard. Joyce, we saw Joyce knock Parker out worse than he stopped Dubois. You know, Dubois was an accumulation of jabs to his eye. He got an eye injury, couldn't continue. Whereas Joyce knocked down Joe Parker clean and stopped him. And Joe Parker is known for having a good chin. So Dubois, to me, he's got a good chin. You know, he's not necessarily going to be stopped by Joshua if Joshua lands clean. So yeah, what do I think about this fight? I think Joshua is the better boxer. That goes without saying. He's got the better jab. He's got the better pedigree. You know, amateur, gold medalist. Yeah, better jab, probably better right hand in terms of technique. I'd say power wise they're pretty equally matched. Where I think Dubois is better is he's a better fighter. You know, AJ is a cautious boxer. He likes to keep the fight on the outside, and he doesn't take a shot well. You know, he, I would say, overreacts to being hit, whereas Dubois can take a shot and keep moving forward. Dubois, yeah, so Dubois I would say is the better fighter, better natural fighter. I think he's the hungrier fighter right now. I mean, AJ has done it, right? He's become champion, he's lost the belt, he's regained the belt, two-time champion. He's been in some massive fights, he's made enough money, whereas Dubois is still hungry for success. You know, Dubois, I mean, you can tell that, right? In Dubois' last two fights, he's had to fight hard to get those wins. You know, the Jarrell Miller fight was not an easy night. He had to fight through Miller. He had to get the best of him. He had to outlast him. And the same thing against Hrgovic. He had to outlast him. He had to fight through taking right hands. yeah, he had to fight through the fire and come out on top. So Dubois is obviously very hungry. I think he's by far the hungrier fighter in this one. Not that AJ doesn't really want to win. He obviously wants to win, but I don't think he's got the same fire that he had years ago. Whereas Dubois, you know, he's definitely on the warpath, if you want to call it that. He wants to become heavyweight world champion desperately. So Dubois, yeah, he's the better fighter and he's the more hungrier fighter, and I'd say he's got a better chin as well, judging on his last couple of fights, taking the punches he's taken and walking through them. You know, I've never seen AJ do that. I've never seen AJ take big shots and just walk through and continue to fight, you know. But yeah, AJ, I think his game plan's going to be to use a jab, keep Dubois at the end of his jab, wear him down and try to stop him maybe mid to late rounds. And I think Dubois, his game plan, he has to go forward, he has to get past AJ's jab, and he's got to get inside and basically smash AJ. That's his game plan. You know, I mean, we know that. We know Dubois is going to come in to fight. That's his chance of winning, and that's what he'll plan to do. So I think it's going to come down to who can execute their game plan on the night. You know, can AJ keep Dubois at range, or is Dubois going to get past his jab and find AJ and stop him? So we'll have to see how that plays out. For me, I might be a bit biased on my pick here because I do want Dubois to win. You know, I'd much prefer Dubois to win this fight. I think AJ's a little bit arrogant, and that showed in their face-off as well. You know, when Dubois, when he said that, you know, let's go now, and AJ, I don't know who he thinks he is, and this is what Dubois said as well. You know, who do you think you are? You know, just AJ. What I'm talking about is AJ tried to dampen Dubois and, you know, that trash talk of we can go now. You know, we can go right now. You know, AJ sort of, he acts like he's above people, you know, telling Dubois, hey, you know, have some respect, blah blah blah, you know, acting like he's Dubois' dad or something, acting like he's his father, telling him to pipe down and, you know, calm down, have some respect, you know. And Dubois had the perfect response, as in, you know, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are telling someone to have respect? You know, this is boxing. This is fighting. You're in a face-to-face. You're meant to trash talk. So, yeah, for me, AJ thinks he's bigger than everyone else. He thinks he's above other people, and, you know, Dubois sees that. Dubois knows that he's up against it here. He's going to have to go in the ring and stop AJ to get a win. So yeah, I like Dubois' attitude, or I like when he said that he, you know, who do you think you are, to AJ, because it shows that he's going to come in here with an attitude of, you know, who do you think you are? You know, I'm not intimidated. He said that as well. He's not intimidated. You can't intimidate me. And, you know, he's going to come in there and hopefully he's going to spark AJ out. You know, that's what I want to see. So I might be a bit biased. in my prediction, but I think Dubois will get the win. I think AJ, he's had too many soft fights in a row. You know, we're talking about Otto Wallin, Ngannou, who's a complete bum, a boxing novice, Robert Helenius, Jermaine Franklin. You know, these aren't killers. These aren't hard punchers. When's the last time AJ even fought a hard puncher? You know, Usyk, again, Jermaine Franklin, Robert Helenius is a tomato can, Ngannou, bum, novice, Otto Wallin, can't crack an egg. You know, these guys are not going to prepare you for a guy like Dubois, who's a heavy puncher, hard puncher, hungry, strong fighter, younger than you. You know, Dubois has many advantages if this boxing match turns into a fight. If it turns into a brawl, you know, Dubois is going to destroy Joshua, in my opinion, because he's had the tougher fights. I'm talking about in recent times. Recent times, Dubois has had the tougher fights. AJ has had a few soft touches. So he's not coming into this fight prepared for a war, whereas Dubois is. So yeah, as long as Dubois can get past AJ's jab and turn it into a fight, I see Dubois winning this, and I think he stops AJ. That's the way I see it. Let me hear from you. Alright, have a good one.